This is one of the most addictive games I think I've ever actually played in my life. And I'd heard nothing about Dorfromantik till I came across it on a Steam cozy game sale. And the video before this, one of my Minecraft videos, was talking about kind of how I was feeling pretty overwhelmed about a week ago now, a couple of weeks since I recorded this. But I still wanted to play something, but I didn't want anything that was overwhelming, and I kind of stumbled across this tiny little game that was released a couple years ago that is essentially what looks like, to me, a city builder based on kind of hexagonal tiles and reminded me of kind of Carcassonne and games like Catan, and I'd never ever heard of it before. And I dived into it thinking perhaps this is one for the peaceful moments in me and a game that I was looking kind of for, and I've been blown away by this. And there's very few games nowadays that kind of get their hooks in me from an addictive point of view, where like the time passes and I'm like one more tile, just one more tile. What about here? What about there? And that said with an absolute love for this game. It's not said with any sort of malintent or frustration or worry. It's just an endlessly peaceful, relaxing game, which at the same time leans into the fact that it can quite curiously make you start thinking about all the important things in life. You can't hear it at the moment, but it's got a really peaceful, quite thought-provoking soundtrack, and it's very simple to pick up and play. It's very quick to move through, essentially like runs. And the premise of the game is you place matching tiles. There's forests, there's fields, there's railroads, there's grass, and there's water and towns. You have this limited number of tiles that you complete, little mini quests that then give you more. But eventually you do run out. And the whole point is to kind of go through the game getting a high score, and you also start to unlock different kind of skins for things, and quite early into the game different tiles, but then it's more about just cosmetic kind of unlocks as you go. And it's a charming little kind of piece, but it's really, really challenging, but not in a way that kind of has you throwing your mouse and keyboard against the wall. Or perhaps if you're playing this on a Steam Deck, like I sometimes do, lobbing that through a window out of frustration, it kind of gets into your consciousness and your psyche and really makes you think. And I love how games can do that, how they both can make you think about the game you're playing. But actually, it really helped me in a period where, for a couple of weeks, I was really struggling. I was really struggling with kind of the stresses of life, and some things I'd kind of gone through a couple years ago were kind of surfacing around this time. And as you might have seen from other videos where I kind of blend together, I suppose, some gaming analysis and thoughts with what's going on in my life, this one is turned into a sort of retreat for me. I mean, if you look at it on screen now, it's so beautiful and so lovingly curated and so simple. I mean, it doesn't get much more complicated than this in terms of how it looks, but as you start to kind of try and find the optimum place to place your small little tiles, like you can spend a lot of time just trying to find the right place, or you don't. You just kind of go with the flow and enjoy creating a kind of miniature little world that will end. There's a period where you'll run out no matter how good you are. I don't think anyone's ever done an endless run. There is a creative mode where you can just kind of paint a picture of a world with these tiles, and it kind of reminds me of the popularity at the moment of games like Tiny Glade, where there's no real kind of intent to kind of gatekeep the player away from kind of things. It's just here's a fantastic canvas for your creativity, and sometimes games can just be about that. But I don't know much about the development team or like what produced this game. I don't know if this game is even perhaps a board game already. It's got what I feel like is a potentially Germanic name, spelt, or maybe some of that part of the world. And I do know that kind of culture and that community in the world produces some pretty impressive board games. It's a very kind of diverse kind of creative industry in terms of what it produces, and some of the best kind of tile-based board games have kind of come out there. So if you do know what it is, and this is actually just a digitization of something pretty damn awesome, then let me know. I don't think I would personally enjoy it as much. I think for me it's about kind of, say, losing myself to the puzzle and the kind of ever kind of increasing creep of skill that you have. You're kind of creeping upwards. I originally could only get to kind of 5,000 at a time I played, and then it was 10,000. Now I'm kind of knocking on 15,000, and that kind of continual high score is what keeps the progression going. But I'm trying to cover more games, and I'm trying to play more different games that kind of match where perhaps I am in my world and my life. I used to be pretty formulaic, the big releases, the big kind of RPGs, the big competitive shooters, going back many years. But now I'm more intrigued by kind of games of soul and charm and heart, and this has absolutely all of that in buckets. I do plan to stream this, perhaps, just kind of put it up, have a chat. It's the kind of ideal streaming game for me, and maybe for you too, if you're into that kind of experience and sharing of what you play. I struggle with anything kind of too fast-paced to talk at the same time. I'd rather just actually have something on in the background as I kind of share my thoughts with and my time with people who are online but important to me. But yeah, this is Dorfromantik. It was on sale. I got a good deal on it, but to be fair, it's not particularly expensive in the grand scheme of things, and I think actually I would happily pay full price for this, even more so now. You should read some of the Steam reviews as well, because what I say is definitely mirrored by that. You'll find yourself contemplating life, and the time kind of just vanishes with it. And that's the very best kind of game when it comes to this kind of genre. It's a puzzle, but it kind of unlocks the puzzles of what's in your brain. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and here's to the next one, and perhaps a different game or more thoughts on this. Till next time, thank you.